Hi, and welcome to today's conversation between Redeye and Lifecare. With me in the studio, I have CEO Joacim Holter. Welcome, Joacim.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Pleasure to have you here. I thought we could start with a few updates on operations since the Q4 report. Can you update us on the automated production process? What's the latest thing that has happened there?
Well, the latest thing in direct relation to the automated production is as we disclosed last year that we have done automated parts of the production. It is not our intention so far. It has not been our plan so far to do fully automation of the production. However, the most complex tasks, being the production of the pressure sensor and also the filling and sealing, filling of chemistry and sealing in a chamber, is done by automated production. So it's done by machines as of today. And then we are very much looking forward now to take over our production facility in Mainz, Germany. We will take over that facility in July this year. And of course it will take us a month or two to move from our preliminary premises and into the new one, and then also build the production into a quality solid production facility. Building up production is always a challenge. That's the rule. We have been preparing and planning for this for a couple of years, and we look forward to execute on the move, to move forward towards fully automated and scalable production throughout the year 2025. And the end game of that is that we predict that we by 2029 have a production capacity of 130,000 units based on our current plans annually, and then from that point on we expect that we will have to increase our capacity, but that's far ahead. That's 2029. Right.
Sounds like you're on schedule on that point then.
We are on schedule, yes, with all the nitty-gritty details we have to solve, but that's also part of the schedule, yes.
Right. And so changing the scope a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the veterinary product and the veterinary launch. What has happened here?
Not very much, and I think it is important to emphasize that our veterinary project is based on utilizing the existing technology. It's also based on the opportunity this provides us to get consumer and product feedback on an early stage. But all our decisions related to the veterinary field is based on what's the best thing to do for the human field. So we have an still ongoing biocompatibility and longevity study, which is a forerunner to our CE study, but we do it in dogs, so it's a combination effect. And we have done some adjustments on our sensor lately. So we are, unfortunately, we were hoping to get into the market, veterinary market, late 2024. Still not quite ready to do that, but we are confident that we will meet that target in 2025 and be able to execute the first commercial launch in the veterinary market in 2025.
Right. Looking forward to that. So another thing, you submitted in the report, at least you said, the phase end report to Sanofi in Q4, right? Are there any updates on this topic you could share with us here today?
No, that was one of a few phases that we are reporting, and that also has a financial effect for us. Not a huge financial effect, but at least a financial effect. We still have one major phase to finalize, that is connected to the biocompatibility longevity study in dogs, and we are, rather than to rush this the phase, we need to do the study properly and in good quality. So we expect that we will be able to close that phase somewhere in Q3 2025. And from that point on, it's of course interesting to see how the discussion will go with Sanofi.
Right, I think that is a lot of people interested in what will happen after that. Is there anything you could say to those wondering?
I think what I want to emphasize is that we have a great relationship with Sanofi, but it is a fact that they are not, as of today, in the sensor business. So whether they decide to go into the sensor business or not is still to be seen. But I think that if I can just kind of glide a bit on that question, I think that what we see now is that our segment of the CGM business, the implantable part, is starting to gain quite some speed, because Eversense, who are ahead of us with an FDA approval, are starting to increase their sales number, and they are doing a great job paving the way for us as well. And I think that the fact that this is this sub-segment of CGMs are starting to get a bit hotter, I believe that also will lead to some considerations within the existing CGM suppliers. So we have big players like Abbott, Medtronic, Dexcom, who obviously at some point need to react on the new generation CGMs. But we also see that there is quite a lot of companies coming out of Asia with the same technology as Dexcom, Abbott, a glucose oxidate technology. And several of them are now CE approved in Europe. So that segment is also of interest for us in a partnering structure. So whether the real big guns or the up-and-coming Asian suppliers will be our main partners going forward, or Sanofi, is an open question. But I think it's a good thing for us to have the diversity of companies that we can go into actual discussions with, and I'm confident that following an execution of commercialization in the veterinary business, that will lead to partnership discussion both in the veterinary business and also in the human business.
Right. So on another topic, earlier this year you announced improved glucose sensitivity in Sencell. Can you expand on the importance of this improved sensitivity?
If we kind of look at the market top down, the most important part of our mission to help patients with diabetes is obviously the patients who need to control their glucose. Type 1 diabetes patients, some type 2 diabetes patients. For them, for those patients, the sensitivity is key, because the decisions they are making based on the data they get from their sensors is to some extent a matter of life and death. Whether you provide too much insulin or not is a serious business. Hence, it's important for us, obviously, to be as sensitive as possible. Starting off with our first clinical trial, we had a good sensitivity. We had a sensitivity below 10% MARD, which is a market standard. And that was remarkable, seen from our point of view, because when the first glucose oxidase technologies, such as Abbott Dexcom, came to market, they had a MARD of 13 to 15%. So our kind of debut in the MARD field was already in the golden standard. And when we now are able to actually increase the sensitivity with our chemistry, we have reason to expect that we will increase our sensitivity in sensing, and hopefully also superior to existing suppliers and competitors. I don't have any data to kind of state we will be superior, but we have reason to believe that we will have a sensitivity that is absolutely worth to look into.
Right. So this is an exciting topic. I'm sure we have opportunities to dive deeper into sometime in the future then. So changing the scope a little bit to the clinical development side, can't you update us? Where are you standing right now?
I can, a bit fresh off the press, say that we are preparing for a design freeze of our product before end of April, so within a few days. That will lead to the next phases in our product development, which will be to start to prepare seriously towards the clinical trial. We are planning to submit an application for a pre-CE study quite rapidly, so that we expect to do a rather small study with 6 to 12 patients in Germany and in Norway. to get the first fresh results before we execute on the actual CE study. Before, hopefully at the end of 2025, we will start that process. So that is of course product development wise, and not clinically, but it strongly relates to the clinical development. And it's also important for me to underline that throughout the past year we have been focusing hard on product development, because without the product we cannot do the clinical studies we need to do, and now we are on the verge of finalizing that with a design freeze.
Right, so a little follow-up to that, of course, is then, will you get any insight on the MARD on these? I mean, it's going to be a few patients, but will it give you some sort of implication?
Yeah, it will, for sure. The first study we did was 9 patients and 10 sensors. That provided us 261 data points, and I used to say that's not enough to do any clinical decisions, but it's definitely enough to, or the regulatory decisions, but it's definitely enough to conclude on the MARD that this is very good. And yes, we will of course calculate the MARD on those 2 cohorts in Germany and in Norway.
Interesting. And I mean, so you're entering the CGM market, or you will enter the CGM market, hopefully. And I mean, this is a vast market. And in your recently published investor presentation, you see peak revenue potential of above $1 billion. Can you expand on this outlook? Why do you think Sencell will be able to grab a part of this market?
I think kind of a forerunner for those numbers is the fact that the International Diabetes Federation just released their updated diabetes atlas. The late one was from 2021, and they came with a new one now in April 2025, where the number of diabetes patients around the world has increased from 540 to 590, 600 million. That's one thing. The other thing is also that the number of diagnosed patients has increased from 50% to 60%. So this also increases, of course, the market. But specifically to your question, the CGM market or the CGM segment is the biggest part already of diabetes technology. And it's also the part of the diabetes technology that is increasing the most, with an annual growth rate of 12.5%. So we expect in 2035 we expect there to be approximately a market of $30 billion. Our segment, as mentioned, is the sub-segment of implantable CGMs, and as today this represents less than 1% of the total CGM market, but our projections show that this will be a fast-growing segment going forward, and we expect that around 2030, 2035, 15% of the total market will be within the implantable field. So kind of a tech penetration of 15% of those 30 billion. And calculating a base case potential for Lifecare of being the second runner in this game of 25%, we believe that is quite reasonable. That will give us an annual revenue of around $1 billion peak. However, this will not be kind of a peak approach as you would see in biotech,
right? Because
that's going up and going down. That's usually how it is. The access and the penetration of, first of all, the access of additional patients will continue to grow. The second thing is the penetration of patients using CGMs will also continue to grow. So looking forward towards a peak, we believe that the peak will be quite stable over quite some time after the first peak.
Right. And I mean, your sensor differentiates in several ways, obviously, but maybe most notably on the way your sensing technology works in osmotic pressure. Do you think this is the superior way of measuring glucose compared to the established methods?
Yeah, we believe it has the potential at least to be the superior way, and the reason for that is first the stability of how we use chemistry to capture the osmotic pressure and the variations in the osmotic pressure, because the osmotic pressure is 100% correlating to the amount or the values of glucose in the body. So there is a kind of a starting point of stability there. The other thing is that we have very good reason to expect to be less interference vulnerable compared to existing technologies, because our way of our sensing principle will not be affected by other body substances as we see with the traditional measurement methods. In our laboratory in Germany, and we have also actually just published a few papers on that, we have done interference testing on traditional CGMs, where we see that drinking a glass of orange juice or a glass of red wine, or maybe taking a paracetamol, has quite an impact on the stability of wearable CGMs. And we believe that with our technology, we are less vulnerable to those kind of interferences. So that's a second stability that our technology brings to the market.
Interesting. Thank you a lot for the updates. But before we wrap things up here, I want to end up asking you a little bit about your financial position and the funding strategy moving into 2026 and onwards.
We expect and we project, based on an upcoming exercise period of warrants that will start 2nd of June 2025. We expect to have a revenue-based runway until first half of 2026. We are also planning for non-dilutive funding opportunities going forward. That's a dangerous word. I know that from an investor point of view. I'm talking about investment loans, so governmental investment loans. We are in process in that respect, and we expect to see some movement on that by end of this year. So Q4 is what we expect there. But going forward, looking into next year, those kind of investment loans will make a difference for us. And in addition, we do expect also to do an equity financing round in 2026. Looking further down the line in 2026 and 2027, we also expect to have revenue that will decrease our capital need.
Great. So Joacim, thanks a lot for those clarifications about your company and also for your participation here today.
Thank you very much.